me see. Let me see. Well, we're now live, Robert. I think. Just give me 2 seconds.
That's what it says. It says you're live.
That's fine. Let me just check now. Right, let me see. I'm just going to check it myself so I see what the members are seeing. I had to do it slightly differently, Robert, because we had that little technical issue.
No problem.
Then I've had to do it just slightly differently. But I can see us on the feed. Okay, so I can see us. We are there. We're live. We're both looking good. I'm giving us both a 5 out of 10 for looks. That's a good start for any video. Right, we'll wait till a few people join, okay? Right, they're coming on. They're coming on. Right, they're coming on. Right, let me just get. I just need to get to one more repost, mate, just to let them know.
No problem. Take your time. No hurry.
And then we will be up and running. Okay, I know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on this. I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. I'm a bit of a techie as well, Robert, but you know what I mean? Like things.
Well, you've got more knowledge than me because I'm useless at things that you just found out about the phone.
They say never work with children, animals, or common law experts. That's what they say. Okay, let's just see. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. What we're going to have to do, hey, but they're joining anyway, Robert, as we're going, and I don't want to keep you too much longer anyway. So I've kind
Don't
of.
worry about it, Stevie. My time is your time, my friend. Nobody
No
can
bother,
harass
no
me about
bother.
time. I'm making time for you here tonight.
Aye, me too. But listen, right, so thank you for setting this up tonight. I've set this up with you, Robert, but thank you for taking the time out your day because I know you're absolutely mobbed just now. I'll sort of set the stage for some of the members in our group. You know, obviously we've got a wee group there, the Scottish People's Forum. We've got, you know, nearly 6,000 really good members. You know, they're all at different stages of understanding of what's going on here. I mean, I don't think any of us quite fully understand what's going on, but we've got a very good clue as to what's happening here, Robert, and I'm sure you'll be able to shine a light on that from your point of view. So the key things here are obviously I wanted to speak to yourself from the group's point of view because a lot of the group have been to the likes of the Holyrood event where you spoke there and Glasgow Green and things like that, and that's where I've met up with you a couple of times. I was actually watching a video of yours yesterday, and it was very uplifting. I felt from my point of view. I think it was really upbeat in a very downbeat sort of world where people are getting arrested and all that kind of stuff, and you know it feels like, you know, it just feels like it's a nightmare, you know, a nightmare way to end the year. And I watched your video, and for the first time in a wee while, I felt quite happy because I felt there was some light at the end of the tunnel, and you were talking a lot of sense in it, and it just calmed me down a bit. And I felt I wanted the members to sort of get a wee feel for what I got in that video, Robert. If we can tap into that at all, it'd be great. But yeah, a couple of questions. So you're a Glasgow boy, like me, way back in Glasgow. Whereabouts were you born? Govan. Cool.
Yes.
I was born in Springburn and then dragged up in Cumbernauld for my sins, but it was all good, all good. Yeah, big changes in the city with all this stuff that's going on. Obviously, they've been in this sort of tighter lockdown. They've ripped the soul right out that city, haven't they?
They have. It's a worldwide problem as well. It's not just England, Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. This is a major thing that's gone against the people. This is about Stevie, about control, and people have to waken up. We can't allow them to get control. People have to take back control in their lives because they're losing businesses and jobs, and only the people can make change. Your politicians, like Nicola Sturgeon and everybody else that's involved in the political life, are working for corporations. Everything is a corporation. But a lot of people don't understand this. But this is the way it is, you know.
Well, that sort of corporation status is something that I hope to cover in this meeting, because a lot of people don't fully understand that. So that's certainly one thing I'd like to cover off. And that point you were making there, Robert, if we can expand on that, when government's there, they work for us, or they're meant to work for us. I think it's becoming more obvious to more and more people that they don't. And as you say, if they don't work for us, who are they working for? And if they're not going to work for us, it's down to the people. You're kind of duty bound as people to try and find a way to get that control back off them and put people in power who are going to represent us again. That's the name of the game under common law, isn't it? It's all about us.
Yes, we need the people have right at this present time. Firstly, we have no public services. Everything is registered and done in Bradstreet. It's a private corporation. Nicola Sturgeon is a private corporation. Boris Johnson is a private corporation. He is a CEO, and I can verify this in private capacity, of the United Kingdom Corporation. Everything has been incorporated, and that's why we have people suffering for services. We don't get services because they're stealing all the equity for the people. They're saying that the people, we have a national debt. The UK has a national debt. Scotland has a national debt. That's a nonsense. The people are the creditors. We owe no debt. No man or woman in Scotland, England, Ireland, or Wales, or worldwide owe a debt. There is no contract. No man or woman, including myself and you, Stevie, has signed a contract to give permission to get a debt in your name. And this is the problem that people don't understand. The people owe no debt. Everything is a corporate fiction, a dead legal entity. And this is how these people like Nicola Sturgeon escape liability. Even the Scottish Parliament building is a private corporation.
Why did they put countries into corporation status? Why or governments? Why is that advantageous to them?
Because it deceives the people, and it gives them control of all the public assets. The people are paying, like your train services, your NHS, your councils. Glasgow City Council, Edinburgh City Council, all councils in Scotland are private corporations. Even your building and works is a private corporation. Some of the libraries, schools are private corporations. And we have to take back, the people have to kind of wake themselves up, get themselves a shake and realise what's really happening. I've been doing this Christmas here 10 years, Stevie. I've had a rough time with the system. My sister's had a son and daughter taken away back. The girl's at Bays now, she's out of the system, but the boy's still in it. I've not seen my nephew for 6 years for no crime in law. The social services are private corporation. They all work. That's why there is no remedy in any of the system for the people, because it's a vicious circle, and they cover the legal system, legal society cover each other's backs, and that's why people cannot get remedy, and that's why they always use the word complaint. Complaint is for a legal person, no other man or woman.
When did this start, Robert? When did they incorporate these businesses, turn countries into companies?
They've been doing this for way back in the 1930s, if not before that. All these companies are bankrupt. They're masquerading as governments, and they're not a proper government. They don't work for the people. Boris Johnson, Nicola Sturgeon, and the rest of the politicians are puppets being controlled by the higher up.
And they're technically asset stripping, aren't they? A lot of in business, a lot of these
stealing
companies,
the equity from the people. That came to my attention during the week. 3 billion. There's an investigation being launched. 3 billion went missing through this COVID crisis. Where did that go? How can that go missing?
I mean, if guys like yourself were to walk into a bank to try and get money, you'd be lucky to get 15 grand and you get 25 years. I mean, these guys are stealing billions, and we're reading about it in the paper. You know what it is. Yeah, I talk to people about that, and I say, this is theft. What that article is evidence of a theft. They're just running it by us to soften us up for it, but they're actually getting away with this. This is like a global heist that's going on, isn't it? In many ways.
Definitely, it's worldwide.
Yep.
It's about control. The COVID's about control. It's a big scam. A scamdemic.
Is it with? I mean, this is. I've been thinking, like, in terms of the paper money. We'll get on to the common law stuff. The paper money, they print it, they own it. They've got loads of it anyway. They've got all the ones and zeros in their bank account. It's maybe even game over in that respect. They own a lot. We own very little compared to these guys. If they've got all the money already, Why would they want to get these countries into debt? Is there part of this great reset here where they're going to eventually bankrupt them and actually tell the people that, the country is bankrupt and you owe us this money and you are going to have to, you know, debt, debt forgiveness plans and all these things that you read about that they're thinking of doing? Is there an element of that moving forward, do you think?
Well, what it is what they're trying to do is put all the businesses out of business, and people they want to enslave the people. This is what about enslavement. I don't know if you're aware of the New World Order, Agenda 2120, 21 to 30. Well, come January, they want to get into a fifth tier. This is so you don't go out your house at 8 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning. And this is a dangerous situation. Level 4 right now is bad enough. But what if they get a tier 5, we're in big trouble.
It's very hard to fight back from a tier 5 situation with so many people not prepared to even, break the rules for a second. Any rules they put. I mean, we did a thing as a team in our group the other night, and we all headed over to one of the websites, Daily Record or the Sun or something like that. And the amount of people there that were it's almost like anything the government says, we will do it. Anything. It doesn't matter. It's because the government said it, an authority figure said it, and they'll just do it. And that's the challenge, though, because in many, although when we went over there, Robert, it was actually quite reassuring because there was loads of people who weren't from our group, just people on there, and they were fighting back and they were talking up and they were speaking out, and there's a lot of people had enough. I mean, Scottish people, by their very nature, but it might not seem it just now, but we're not daft. We're not daft, and there's a bit of fire in our bellies when we get going.
Exactly. Well, definitely. But what we need to do is waken the whole of Scotland up. There's over 5 million people here. And this is where the people have to come together. Waking up, come together, and let's make change. Because only the people of Scotland, the lands of Scotland, can make change. That's why I fight with the passion that I do. And I put myself at the risk at whatever they want to throw at me. It's not because I'm doing this to have an ego or be something big. This year I'm doing this for the right reason. And people have to come and unite together as a family, a communities, and stand up and say enough is enough.
Yeah.
Because these people, Nicola Sturgeon, Ian Livingstone, and people in high hierarchy places don't have the power they're claiming over any man or woman in the lands of Scotland. They don't have rights. They have duties, obligations, and responsibilities to a legal system, legal society. We're not bound by any of their legal paperwork either. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Every time people fill in their documents with black ink and uppercase letters, they're creating joinder and a fiction. I don't want to get too involved in that because it might confuse a lot of people because it's a lot to take in. But this is how they get away with it. They cannot deal with a man or a woman. They can only deal with the person. That's why everything in legislation states person.
And is that something they've just done to sort of? I mean,
that's how they escape liability.
Yeah. So they've tried to sort of hijack common law with their own little laws that sit above it. And if you buy into it, you're involved in it and you can't get back to common law almost to a certain extent.
There's 2 languages. There's common English and legalese. And what's happening, the people that are dealing with these corporations like councils, your politicians, it's all solicitors is bringing these acts of parliament in, and it's done with a foreign language. The uppercase name, the all capital name is gloss. It's a fiction that does not exist. Every time you fill in black ink, that's a sign of the dead. And I'm verifying this in private capacity with first-hand knowledge. And you're creating joinder. You're losing your status. You're losing the highest part of status as a man and diminished to a person. A piece of paper. That's what it is. Every man and woman with, I don't want to get too enshrined in this because I don't want to upset people thinking. I want them to think for themselves. The birth certificate is the person. That's plain and simple. Every time you put a title on a document, you're creating a fiction. And this is what happens. The person, this is how they escape liability. Because there's 2-tier system. There's the common law system, lawful, and there's legal. Lawful is for the man or woman, son or daughter, living, breathing. Legal is for the person. That's why everything is stated. You'll not see in any statute or legislation man or woman because they cannot deal with a man or woman. And I can verify that also in private capacity with first-hand knowledge. This is the deception, the fraud. They're using fraud under common law, writing words and conduct to deceive and defraud. And when they send letters like say that you owe a debt, like council tax, they're using extortion under common law. They're also using personation under common law, which is that changing your status to suit what they want to hold the man or woman's surety and liable. It's only the man or woman. People must know in their heart and soul that they have life. They breathe, they bleed, they feel pain. And if you can do that, you can't be a person, because a person is a bit of paper, and I verify that in private capacity under full liability as well.
What about guys? I mean, why is there nobody in the legal system who, is an advocate, who feels the same as us? I mean, there's guys who must understand what this kind of tyranny can lead to for them as well. You get guys like Lord Sumption there coming out and speaking. Why are the legal guys not stepping forward here?
They've too much to lose, Stevie. They've got their mortgages, their pensions, and that's all a financial benefit. They're worrying about the benefit. They don't care about the people. Nicola Sturgeon doesn't give two hoots about the people. Let me tell you that right now. And you can tell that with the way she's acting towards the people. She keeps going on when she's doing interviews and says about the authority of the people. She ignores the people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are for the first time seeing that now. Like I've got some friends who are quite Nicola Sturgeon fans, and now they really are not happy with anything that comes out of her mouth, and we've seen that more. And I think once you go that way, you don't go back. I mean, you don't become you don't fall back in love with her again. You know what I mean? Because you've seen it. You see the falseness there, or the lies. You absolutely see them.
Oh, you can see it when you watch her on these stupid COVID updates. If you look at her when she's answering questions, you can see she's a point blank liar. You can see the lies coming out of her eyes as well as her mouth.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say about that relating to a virus, the only virus I know is Nicola Sturgeon with the verbal diarrhea that comes out of her mouth because she talks nonsense.
It can be very, very difficult to listen to sometimes when you see it for what it is. And as I said, hopefully a lot of people are waking up to it. Robert, with regards to obviously protests, and we want you're saying take it back. What options, what legal options, what common law options, what options do the people have to actually seriously take it back? You're seeing things in America much bigger. You've seen much bigger movements than ours. I'd love to click my fingers and have 100,000 Scottish people on the streets like us, ready, willing, and able to stand up and be counted peacefully. In many ways, to actually say, look, as you said, enough is enough. We've had it here. This is not the right direction for us and our kids. We've had enough, right? I'd love to click my fingers and do that, but you're seeing million men marches in America, and they're not getting their way. Why is nothing? Why are we going marching into brick walls here?
The reason is, right, the main reason that you're walking into a brick wall is because people, when they register to vote, they give consent. You get what you call a manifesto. It's no lawfully binding. It's just a promise to do something. And when they get into power, they obviously change it. They don't do what they're supposed to do. When you register to vote, you give consent. You create joint or give consent. We have to remove consent, and we have to remove them. You want to move them, then we'll get change. They have to be stopped in their tracks for the Scottish election. They need to be nipped in the bud. We have to stop registering to vote, filling in the paperwork and accepting it. You have to rescind any paperwork that you've put in there and tell them that you don't consent to it because it's based on constructive fraud and criminal conversion.
Okay, so on that subject, then, playing devil's advocate there, we know what we know. I mean, what would you say just now, Robert? If I had to take a guess at it, I'd say the 80-20 rule is in play here. 80% of people are sound asleep and 20% are woke up. It feels like that to me when I see the posts and I see what's going on and I talk to people in the street and I see all the masks and the nonsense that's going on. Does that feel a bit right to you, 80%? Or
I would say that's about right. The biggest problem we have is people have been lied to all their lives with these politicians. Right? It took me 10 years. I started this 10 years ago because I had a feeling something wasn't right, and I'd done my research and do what I do today. I'm out there. I'm in the front line, the same as most people that's woke up, and I'm battling back. We've got what you've heard of the X factor. We've got the fear factor. People are afraid. Two reasons. They're afraid when they're listening to liars, have been told lies. They don't know what to believe. They're that confused. They don't know right. It's got to the point they don't know right from wrong anymore. And what's happening is wrong.
just now.
We need
They're
to put it
definitely
right.
punch drunk just now.
Pardon?
I'm saying people are definitely punch drunk just now. Like they'd accept anything. It's almost like they've softened them up mentally so much that they've got them where they want them. They could tell them it's a scam now, and then tell them something else to do, and they just do it. You know,
Exactly.
they're gone. A lot of them are gone.
Well, a lot of damage has been done here with this COVID
I
stuff.
totally agree. Irreversible damage.
And the thing that concerns me is I had a dispute about 6-7 weeks ago with a nurse with 24 years experience. We were having a general conversation like myself and yourself is having just now, and we ended up on the subject of COVID-19. And I says to the woman, how long have you been a nurse? And she says 24 years experience, just over 24 years experience. I says, okay. I says, are you good at your job? Do you enjoy your job? She says, well, I've kind of retired now. When I was at it, I was really good at my job. I says, okay, you know right from wrong. She says, yes. I says, okay. I says, now, there's something I want to ask you with 24 years experience. I'm not medically trained, but I'm just want to ask you a question. I would hope that you would be courteous enough to give me a straight answer without any problems. She says, okay, ask the question. I says, let's put aside the lose the taste, lose the smell, the temperature and the cough. Right, put that aside. She says, what are you getting at? I said, I'm going to ask you this question and I hope you can answer it and answer the question truthfully. Now, I'll ask you again. You say you're a nurse of 24 years experience. And she says, I am. I says, you say that you were really good at your job when you were doing it. Yes, I was. I says, well, let me ask you a question. What's COVID-19? And she kept staring at me. I says, I've asked you a question. What is COVID-19? And do you know what her answer was?
Mm-hmm.
I says, don't use the word virus. I says, we've got symptoms, right? We've got the symptoms. What is COVID-19? She turned around and told me she didn't know. So the next question I asked her, I says, I take it you'll be friendly with higher up doctors that you know, we're working in that profession. She says, I would. I said, would you mind phoning one of your colleagues and asking what COVID-19 is? And she refused. Right? Now, a woman at 24 years, Stevie, doesn't know what COVID-19 is. Right? A virus, right? This is what people don't realise. The 2 metre thing isn't about you're going to catch a virus. I've been out for months and months without masks, and I've intermingled with people, cuddled them, shook their hands, and spoke less than 6 inches away, and I'm fine. And I've not had a vaccination in 30 years plus, right? And I'm verified that, and I'm proud to say that. And I'm still fine. The 2 metre rule is for face recognition.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that bad now. When you get into supermarkets, they've got the people policing the people, and that is wrong.
Yeah, they have. Yep.
And this is how Nicola Sturgeon and the rest of the dummies are escaping liability, because they've passed it on to somebody else and they're accepting responsibility for it.
Well, they're blaming science in a lot of cases, aren't they? And then even recently there was one with the travel restrictions, you know, this local authority thing, which I wouldn't mind touching on with you from a common law point of view, because actually let me talk about this just now. I looked up the human rights, you know, the the human rights bill, the United Nations Charter of Human Rights, yeah, that we're signatories to in this country. And one of the, I think it's 13.1 says that if you live in a country, you can go anywhere in that country. That's your human right. Okay. Now, why are they getting to say that we can't leave our local authority districts? Because see, right now, I'm hearing about people getting all sorts of fines and getting really upset about going out for a drive and not being able to see their sister in it, who's across a different border, and they're worried about it and they're getting fined for it. And they might be for Glasgow who want to go to Edinburgh today. All of that's off. You know, why have we got to that? And why can they trample over our human right to go anywhere we want in Scotland?
Because this is a compliance test. And what's happening? They're doing it gradually and putting the feelers out to see how far they can push the people. And because people are trusting their word and what they're telling lies on, this is the problem. So what they're doing is accepting what they're saying and they're abiding. Bear in mind, this is only rules. This is not a law. It's a rule.
Mm-hmm. And
this is what people have to understand. A rule is being regulated. Who has the right to regulate you and tell you where to go? It's my understanding, I don't have one. On your passport, it says that you have the right to travel unhindered.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So The problem is the people have to waken up. The people have to make a stand, and the people have to challenge it.
Mm-hmm.
They have to challenge everything. I've got an ABC rule: accept nothing, believe nothing, and challenge everything, especially people in a legal system, legal society, because they're all paid liars.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely agree with that. But do you get my point on this sort of travel restrictions? I mean, even for protests and things, I think it's off-putting for people who think, "Oh, am I going to get sent back and roadblocks?" But the police seem to handle that fairly well. I felt that they sent out a sort of. I think Sturgeon tried to pass the blame to them and say, "Oh, it's not me. I'll leave the police to police it." And the police said, "Well, we're not going to police it." you know, was that them standing up a bit? Was that them sort of saying, "Look, don't thrust this madness onto us and make us look like the bad guys"? Is there a chance that they could be thinking that or doing that?
I know there's a good few police constables, right, are questioning things, but they're still enforcing these statutes and acts. Unlawful. They're unlawful. And people have to make a stand. People have to come together. We don't need. I get great comments on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook. I get plenty of praise. I'm not interested in praise. What I want is people on the ground. I want people to side with myself and let's take this forward. I've already served a claim against Nicola Sturgeon, Ian Livingston, and also the High Court. I've made a superior claim to the lands of Scotland. Now, the reason we're not getting remedy is because they're ignoring it, because I do not have the numbers to back this up.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the numbers. Give me a couple of 100,000 people, and I'll back up what I've just done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to call her out. She needs called out. She does not have the rights, and she does not have the power which she's claiming. It's a presumption of power, and she's getting away with it because the people are sitting back taking it. And the people, from my perspective, have to stand up, be counted, and let's get it on. Let's take this system on. Let's turn it upside down. We can't allow this anymore, and we certainly can't allow a tier 5.
I would agree. Tier 5 is just a death knell for this country and the psyche of society as well. The amount of people who they're not going to come out of it very well. That's a year people haven't seen their relatives for. A lot of people, Robert. I mean, we might all have. I've not seen my relatives as much because you're doing other stuff. But I really think people are going to be seeing far less, and they're getting into really bad habits of not seeing their relatives just now. And I think
that is what it's to do, Steve. Is to break up the bond with the family. That's what it is. This is what this is.
Yeah. Well, that's my interpretation of reading all the Agenda 21 stuff as well, and to a certain extent, you can see it working. Like there was people there prepared to see during the first lockdown. And I used to make this statement a lot, Robert. I said, look, when I was talking to people trying to wake them up, I said, there's people out there who would not hold their dying mother's hand unless Nicola Sturgeon says it was okay for them to do it, right? So they'd actually sit and say, I can't touch her. They've got no symptoms. Their mum's got no symptoms. And they'd say, I can't hold her hand, because the government says I can't do it.
That's right, and this is terrible for
That's
people to do that.
That's some spell to be able to put on people,
and that's wrong. This is what I've got people that go to care homes. One's just lost their mother recently, and it's diabolical. They had her wearing a plastic apron thing, a mask, and stood 2 meters away from a window. She was inside the care home. Can he cuddle her? Can he touch her? What I want to know is all these people. And this is a question people have to ask and start waking up. Even people as lose relatives in these care homes. How can somebody catch COVID-19 if there is such a thing? If they're not getting anywhere near their family? How is this happening? It's my belief, Stevie, that genocide's been committed against the vulnerable, the elderly. That's my belief. I believe that this Agenda 21, depopulation, they're deliberately talking people, even in the hospitals, because they're manipulating the death certificates with COVID-19. If you die a heart attack, COVID-19. If you break your leg and die, fall down the stairs, bang your head and die, COVID-19. That's a crime in law, under common law.
Yeah,
they should be prosecuted, hung and quartered for what they're doing to the people. And if people can't see, If we were to manipulate one of their documents, we would be done and locked up for fraud right away. No questions asked. But it's because your court system, your politicians, the police system, and the councils are all working hand in hand. The care homes, as far as I'm concerned, the doctors are bought and paid for, and this is why they're keeping the fear factor going. Because I know people that's been in hospitals are empty. I've talked to nurses that say what they're saying is nonsense, but they can't speak out because they're feared to lose their job because they have mortgages. And this is the problem.
Well, that's right. I mean,
anybody.
Debt in many ways is the virus, isn't it? You know, the debt that they've injected into us all is the virus as well. Well, on that subject of that, you know, that's a tough word to talk about, genocide, and nobody wants to think about the elderly. I mean, I do a bit of work in the mortgage game, and I do a lot of mortgages for elderly people. I love dealing with them. The salt of the earth, but they bring you back to reality. Old school, Robert, really, really nice old. But you take a conversation with a nice old Glasgow guy or a nice old Glasgow woman, you'll never have a better conversation in your life. Do you know what I mean? If they're all no seeing their families or are in these homes and they're getting pushed to one side, and back to your argument about these people being a corporation, from a business perspective, they're just costs to a business. What are they putting in? They've got a pension that needs to be paid. We need to house them. They're just an overhead that business doesn't really want, and that could be part of the reason why these people are just so evil. We wouldn't want to be in a caring society, but a business would want to be. A business would want to be that evil. They would just look at it as a number and say, why do we need all these people? You know.
Exactly, Stevie. This is what it's about. It's corporate greed.
Yeah.
These people want their pensions, their expenses, and their bonuses. This has nothing to do with the people they're caring. There is no empathy. Let me be clear to the people that's watching this. There is no empathy for these people, or they wouldn't be treating the people the way they are. There's better ways to deal with this. Businesses should be open. They could put things in position to safeguard people if they believe there's a virus. But they don't know what to do that. They just want to shut everything down.
Well,
that's not acceptable.
Absolutely, and that's another thing I was thinking as well. You know, like last couple of nights, we've been out doing Tesco shops and stuff like that. So I'm going to stop, but there's nowhere else to. There's no local guys I can give the business to. Do you know what I mean? That's part of the problem. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, a wee local baker in a town, a village somewhere. You know, it's far safer to do your queuing if you have to and go in and buy your stuff behind a counter. It's far safer to do that than go and buy it off Tesco. But we're not getting the chance to do it. But when these places were open, people weren't supporting them the way they should. And I think part of this, how do we win it back, take to the streets, do all this different stuff. But part of it is we have to support the businesses in our local communities. Put your money into them. Make it last longer. If you can buy less food off the local baker and butcher and make it just last longer, you're getting better stuff and you're keeping those businesses going. Don't give your money to Tesco. And these people, that's one of the things that would need to change, Robert. I'm sure you would agree as part of this, that we actually start supporting each other in our communities.
Definitely. The small businesses, even sometimes some of the shops are dearer. It doesn't matter. It's about keeping because what the intention here is to shut all businesses down. They want rid of everything. And they want the corporations like Asda, Tesco, Morrison's and others to have control. They want to monopolise everything so that you rely on the big corporations and they'll decide and they can then manipulate the prices, put them up when it suits them and rob the people of their equity.
And they can't shut them down unless they go bust. So if the businesses run out of money, it's because they weren't. If these small businesses run out of money, it's because they weren't being supported enough. But we can support them, which means they'll know.
We can support them by going and buying produce for their businesses, definitely.
Which means that they will survive, which means that these guys don't get their way. I mean, it's another way to fight back, isn't it? Don't let them play them at their own game. They want to put them out the business. We want to keep them in business. So let's if that's the game, let's play that game. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. But people have to be prepared to open their minds and open their hearts and open their conscience and do the right thing. This is about a conscience.
I totally agree.
There's a lot, and no disrespect to anybody, but there is a lot of people out there is selfish towards other people, and they don't care. As long as they get what they want, they don't care. Right? They don't look at the bigger picture, and this is a problem. We have to educate people in the lands of Scotland to change their way of thinking because they're being psycho-conditioned to believe and think what's not right. They're trying to bring a new norm, like the track and trace. The track and trace is to get your data, what you're spending, where you're going, how much you're spending, and where do you spend it. These tests for this COVID-19 is to get your DNA. You're being DNA profiled and track and trace to get your data. That's what this is about. They're building databases and they're spying on the people, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, what do you think's behind? I mean, I hear the DNA thing about. I think there's something in that for sure. I mean, what do you think they want the DNA for?
That's so they know exactly who you are. They can pinpoint you in a microsecond. The same as the track and trace. They get the DNA, the track and trace. I was at court recently because I got arrested with a false charge. And when I went to the court, the guy on the door says to me, "What's your? You got a mobile phone?" I said, "I don't have a phone on me." And he went, "What do you mean?" I said, "I don't require a phone to come here." "But what about track and trace?" I said, "Well, I don't consent to that anyway, but I've not got a phone." So firstly, he couldn't use track and trace, right? You don't have to take these phones into these places and give your details, right? Then he looked down at the table and there were a box of masks. And I says, "I don't consent to wearing one of them." He says, "But it's a rules." I says, "I don't care what you're telling me. You don't have the authority to tell me to wear a mask."
Telling you to obey the rules and you're in a court.
No, I'm talking about, I says, this building here belongs to the people. The people pay your wages. You're just a gopher. And this is this building's paid by the people. And I'm one of the people, and I'm in here lawfully to do whatever they want to do. I won't be wearing a mask, and I'm telling you that right now. You can go and get constables or whatever, they'll be told the same. And no, he says to me, "On you go."
Aye.
Stop tracking and tracing and don't consent to these tests. I honestly think that these tests, because of the way they're putting the false data out there, I think these tests are contaminated. I'll give you a prime example. A friend of mine about 5 weeks ago sent away for one of these kits, right? And it came through. He dipped it in a puddle and sent it back. 4 days later, it came back positive.
Yeah.
How could that be?
Exactly.
One of my friends got the test sent as well and sent it back, never done nothing with it, nothing at all, came back positive. 2 people I know went to these test centres that you drive through and you give your information to get a test. They never waited because it was too long, but they gave the information. They were waiting to get tested. They never gave it. They drove away. Less than a week later, the 2 of them get positive results. They never even had the test. What that one, Stevie?
Exactly.
If people can't see what's going on, I don't know. I don't understand. I'm wide awake. I'm the same as yourself, wide awake. I'm the wide awake club. I see the bigger picture and I pay attention. When something's not right, you've got a gut feeling and you know it, and you have to investigate and do your diligence.
Well, that's right. That gut feeling is very important. That's how, I mean, as I said, some of the things we're doing is, like on these public forums, more public forums, and I've been pleasantly surprised, Robert, just the last 40 hours, pleasantly surprised at the amount of people who are actually waking up and their gut instincts telling them it's not right, and they're delighted to hear from a big mob of us all there saying the same things as them, and it's making them talk, and we're all then chipping in. Seriously, it felt that there was more of us than there was of them for the last 2 nights on these forums. There was more of us, our stuff was winning the day. And do you know what? It felt like a victory, a wee mini battle. It wasn't a big battle. We weren't fighting in the streets, but it felt like a victory for us. Do you know what I mean?
The more and more people that wake up, Stevie, the better it'll be for us if we all come together. If the whole of Scotland was to rise, boy, they would crumble.
I know that it's the challenge, getting them to rise. I mean, you know what it's like, Robert, trying to get people out there, and the best intentions in the world, and I mean they're working against us with these travel restrictions, and you can't go and you can't do this, and you're going to get a fine, and you can see it. You can see the fear factor for a lot of people. It's going to put. We need the people who are currently complying with everything to stop complying.
Exactly, and challenge everything. We need to challenge everything.
And that's such a big reversal. I mean, for them to go from where they're at just now, in the time that we need them to get their acts together, I mean, what is going to be the wake up call that's just going to snap them into life and snap them into reality? What is the wake up call?
We need to take back control, Stevie, and we need to do it now. We're running out of time. They're pushing an agenda, and we need to nip it in the bud. Especially in Scotland. Scotland's got hope. We can do this. We need the numbers. We need the people to stand up. We can do it.
I think in Scotland it's funny, you know, as I said, sometimes you've been on these events and you think, do you know, you're banging your head off a brick wall here, and then you think, do you know what? If something just ignited it, Scotland could become one of the the beacons of the world for this stuff. If enough Scottish people don't take crap. That's what I can't believe. We don't normally take crap, but we're
Exactly.
taking
I
this
don't.
crap.
It's because they've been lied to, Stevie. They've been lied to that much. It's like, I'll give you an example, right? Say I'm working with you on a building site, right? Now, everything's done by consent. I'm working with you about a building site, right? And every day, 3 times a day, I call you an idiot. Now, every day. And the people that's working beside us see me calling you an idiot. So what happens then is, because you don't rebut it and stand up, fight back, and answer the rebuttal, people think you're an idiot. And this is what this is what the politicians are doing. They're treating people as idiots. Idiot isn't a bad thing. Idiot means that you just don't understand. And what we have here is people that has a fear factor, right? And they don't understand because they sit back and they're not prepared to do what we do. Go research, do your diligence, and stand up, be counted. That's the three main ingredients we have to do. We have to get people to come on the ground, get the feet on the ground, and let's take back control. Protest, forget the word protest, right? Because that's the controversy. It's a legalese trap. You're there on a, when I'm in George Square, I always say this is for and on public record, so everybody hears it. This is not a protest. There is no organisers. This is an awareness education day to waken the people up of the corruption in the lands of Scotland, and that kills it dead. As soon as people say they're an organiser, they're locked up. You've got to keep the controversy out of that. And it's not a protest. We have the lawful right to travel on the lands of Scotland, on a pavement, on a road. We have that lawful right. They do not have that right to take that away from us. And the sooner, honest to God, the sooner people waking up and stand up and be counted, change will happen. Give me the numbers, Stevie. Get me the numbers, and I'll show you how we'll make change. I'll make it, because I'm up for the fight. I've got my heart and soul in this, and I will fight for the people of Scotland if I get the opportunity. But I need the numbers. I've been trying to get numbers, and I can't get numbers. I need to get the numbers to do what I want to do. I will take this forward, and I'll if I get numbers, I'll be able to remove these people.
Well, I saw you at that last one. There was one. I can't remember the date. Was it November? And it was the one in Holyrood, and it was a decent enough turnout. I think there was about 1,000 odd there. And you went up and did your bit, and it was really, really good, Robert. It was very upbeat, very positive, very easy. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you are able to cover is complex material. I mean, you make it quite easy, but it's complex material. I mean, you're not going to stand up at a awareness day, for want of a, as you say, you're not going to stand up there and give people the A to Z, everything that you know, because it's too hard to digest. But what you covered that day was very upbeat and motivational, and it gave people some hope that there is a law behind the law, or that the law is actually built on common law, and that common law and standing by it and standing up as the people of Scotland could get us out of this. And we all want out of this.
100%. It can get us out, but we need the numbers, Stevie. When I went up to Edinburgh the day you're talking about, certain people didn't want me to speak, but people made it possible for me to speak. And what I did, as you know, I've got a lot of knowledge and a lot of things that could educate a lot of people at a high level, stuff that you couldn't get in a university. I had to decide on the spur of the moment how I was going to approach this crowd with what I had to say. And I put a positive energy, as you've seen, a positive energy, and I made it crystal clear. Nicola Sturgeon, all the Muppets in the Parliament don't have the power they're claiming. Give me the numbers and I'll fight them. Get me the people and I'll fight them. You know, I will. I'll take it. We need to take the streets back. We need to take the communities back, and we need to get the people that's losing businesses and jobs to get on side with us. Stand and unite. The way I look at it, if you've lost your job or you've lost your business, you're going to lose your home. And if you lose your home, at the end of the day, what difference does it make that you stand up? If you stand up now, we can make a difference. We can make the difference and stop people losing businesses and jobs and take back control. And that's a fact. And I verify that. Give me the numbers, Stevie, and I'll make it happen.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, and it's almost like they've been goading us that much. Back to your building site thing. The guy's no rebutting the fact that he's an idiot. We're no rebutting the fact that we're a nation of idiots just now in many ways, because we're not standing up for stuff that we should be. We should be questioning it. Some people don't even want to question it, Robert. They don't even want to have a conversation about it because they're getting shut down. As you say, four guys in a building society, building site shutting somebody down. That is what's happening. People have been shut down on Facebook by their pals. Their pals are shutting them down because they're programmed to shut them down like that. We're
Exactly.
tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. And it's painful for people to try and get their points across. So I think if we get an argument, do you know what? We could become more valuable to these business owners, and that's why what you're saying is right. Tier 5, we can't let it happen. We can't accept a tier 5. That's like saying they know how to fix this virus if there is a virus. They know how to fix it, and they haven't done it this year. They've not saved anything this year, and we're about to get worse. Why would it ever stop? If they get their way, why would it ever stop? We'll be in our houses for the next 2 years if you're not careful. You could easily be.
Maybe longer than that.
Aye, maybe longer.
And
I,
a lot of
I
people
mean,
will not even have houses, Stevie, because they're going to lose them because of the tyranny. And that's what it is. There is no empathy to the people of the lands of Scotland. It's just tyranny. And people have
yeah,
to wake it up and realise that this is not for their benefit. This is for the corporations. Sturgeon has to go. Johnson has to go. Whitey has to go. Hancock has to go. They need to be removed. All politicians in the Scottish Parliament need to go because they're all in it together. They're going against the people. Any real man or woman that has empathy for the people, like when people are dying in care homes, Nicola Sturgeon, you see there's no empathy.
I
It's
know.
just that it looks like somebody else has died. Big deal. That isn't right. She's not right in the head. Seriously,
Aye.
Stevie, she is not right. And people can't see that there's something wrong with them. They have to waken up. Honest to God, it's getting diabolical. What's going on here? The people have to come together. All people, all colours, all religions have to come together, all communities, and let's get this sorted.
Yep, agreed. And again, you see, we'll sort of wrap up here because obviously time we get started a wee bit later, and I'm sure the guys were.
I'm sorry, that was my fault, Steve. I
Well, no,
apologise for that, my friend.
we always kind of have wee technical issues at the start of these things anyway. Um, but ultimately, as I said, that we believe when you do the research that we do, we believe that they're coming for the family, they're coming for the business owners, they're coming for the property. You can see it, so you can see the plan laid bare to come for the businesses. What kind of business can make money in this environment? You're locked in. You've got to furlough your staff to April, right? Who's going to buy off you? Is your business going to be? Who can drink? Who can go to a pub that can't sell alcohol and shuts at 6? I mean, that's not the best day out in the world, Robert, to go and go to a pub at 6 o'clock and you can't drink alcohol. That's why they were there. But they're trying to trade their way out of this. If we get back out again and avoid the tier 5, we need to support all of these local businesses.
Exactly.
And,
We need to help
and
them.
as we're supporting them, we, as the people who are awake to this, actually become very valuable to them. Maybe they'll start valuing us instead of slagging us, and maybe they'll start to say, "Do you know what? These guys are keeping us afloat, and they're coming in without their masks, maybe or whatever." But there's lots of us with or without masks. Isn't the mask thing's a moot point? People can wear them if they want. It's up to them. But um, at the end of the day, we could be supporting these businesses and they could start aligning with us, and then more people start aligning with us, and then we start to rebuild communities. But we're so up against it time wise, Robert. Like if you look at where we're at compared to where we were at 2-3 months ago, think about this. Think about what their plans are and how quickly they're getting away with everything. We've got some serious work to do. Robert, just very quickly, just to sort of summarise then in terms of 2021, and I think there's an awareness day, as you call it, coming on the 9th. When is it? Is it the 11th or?
There's two. We're going to be hitting George Square on the 9th. That
George
shouldn't have
Square
been
on
put
the
up
9th,
public
right? So
because
I'll come through for that one. That'll be good. We'll get as many guys
right.
from our group to come through. That'll be good.
And on the 11th, I think there's a big event up there on at the Parliament going to Butte House, as far as my understanding.
Aye, that's a
Anti-Corruption
march.
Scotland is going to be there as well.
Aye, that's a march. That'll be good. Well, listen,
Um,
And you think 2021, if people pull together, you reckon that if we push this stuff, we can start to get the common law working in our favour, and it's just a case of bodies, boots on the ground, as you say.
We need feet on the ground. The other thing that we've missed is that I don't know if people are aware of this. Down in England, they're going to bring in the military to vaccinate sons and daughters. We can't allow that. That's another lie, because they're telling you that the sons and daughters are not susceptible to COVID-19. But I know across the road from me at a school, there's been numerous sons and daughters sent home because they've been in contact. So Sturgeon and these health ministers and the health experts are lying.
Yep.
Because their system are weaker than ours, right? Because they're not fully developed. So how can it not be possible for them to catch any virus? And the fact that they want to open the schools and put sons and daughters back in the schools tells you it's a lie.
Yeah, agreed.
If we get the feet on the grounds, we get the people in Scotland, and I hope we really do. 2021 is going to be the land of Scotland's best year, because we're going to take this system and turn it on its head. I want to be the front line when that happens, because I will push and fight. All I need is the people to back me, stand by me, and I'll stand by the people. I've got the knowledge, I've got the remedy, and I've got the ability to do this, because I do not fear anything in this system.
Okay, that's good. Well, Robert, listen, thank you again for your time. We'll leave it there and we'll let the guys get on, but that's been really, really good. Very, very useful to chat to you. Very much appreciate your time, and on behalf of everybody at the Scottish People's Forum, we thank you for that. And I'll send you a copy of this video over to your guys over in your group as well, and we'll get this spread about, okay?
I would also like to thank the people that I like to thank you first, Stevie, for giving me the opportunity to speak to you direct. And I also would like to thank the people for taking time to sit and listen to this interview. It's very appreciated, and I hope they value what I say. And all I'll say to the people is, what I'm telling you is the truth. I don't lie. I don't give misinformation. And I will fight for the people if I get the numbers. There's no hidden agenda. There is no ego. There is nothing. All I want to do is make change. Because my family was targeted for 10 years, and I know what this system's capable when it comes to taking sons and daughters and causing torture harm. And right now, every man and woman, son and daughter, is at risk of torture harm under common law. And that's
Absolutely.
it. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Stevie.
And it's all for the kids anyway. If we can't do it for them, we're not going to do it, but we can do it for them, and we should do it for them. And I think that'll be the rallying call that gets people going, Robert.
The other thing as well, we have to protect the elderly and the vulnerable.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's 100%, because they're targets. The sons, daughters, the elderly, and the disabled people are targets, and we have to protect them. We have to come together now and stand by it.
Yeah.
And let's get on with this, and let's get this change for the people of Scotland, the land of Scotland.
Well. No, 100% agree. All right, Robert, you and I'll have separate chats on this stuff as well, and I'll maybe get you, if it's okay, maybe sometime in January, we'll maybe do another wee catch up and we can do a wee progress report.
Well, I've got a lot of things going to happen between now and the 11th, and it'll be all public. Everybody will see it. It'll be on Facebook, it'll be on YouTube. So people know I have a YouTube channel, Stevie.
Yeah, I'll link to it after this. I'll definitely link to it.
Not a problem. I've also got a group called Anti-Corruption Scotland as well. And what I want to do is try and get every group to come together and get the groups to come together, put their differences aside, and let's get this together and let's get this sorted for the people of Scotland.
I think the groups need to come together a bit more. Yep, absolutely.
100%,
Robert,
my friend.
thank you. You're a diamond. It's been absolutely great to chat with you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you again. And you stay on the line. Me and you'll catch up, but I'll end it for the group now, and you and I'll have a quick catch up, okay?
Not a problem, Stevie. Thank you, my friend, for giving me the opportunity.
All the best. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Bye.